What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Crack a Pack series. Before we get into this one, I do want to apologize. I did not get a video up on Friday. I am very, very sorry. I just got too busy with work, and unfortunately, I didn't have time to record that one. But we are back. It was just a one-time thing, and today we are very, very excited because we get to open a pack of Ice Age, which is something we've opened maybe 2 or 3 times on this series, but it's definitely something that doesn't come around very often, and so I'm really, really excited to be opening this one. Of course, we're going to go through this as if it is a pack one, pick one scenario, as we always do, and hopefully we will be able to determine what our first round draft pick will actually be. I have no idea where the rare is in this set. I also did not draft during this time, so I have no idea what the best cards are for this. So we'll do the best we can. Our first card here is Spectral Shield. It's an enchant creature for 1, a white and a blue. Target creature gets +0/+2, and that creature cannot be the target of any further spells. Interestingly, I'm kind of okay with this only because it basically gives it Shroud. Shroud just means it can't be the target of any spells or abilities. That does include your own spells or abilities, which is very similar in this case to this card. It's not like Hexproof where you can still target it. In this case, it literally nobody can target it after that. So I do actually kind of like this. The only way that it would be removed by a spell is in response to this. So if you play this and then somebody instant speed responds with a kill spell of some kind, that would be the only way that this would really fizzle and just not work at all. The bonus to the toughness I think is okay. It just keeps it alive longer. But to me, this is a bit of a win more card, and that you're gonna probably want to tag this onto your strongest bomb that's already out on the field and hopefully winning you the game anyway. This is just a way to shore things up a little bit, which generally I shy away from in draft. I mean, it's good because it is that assurance, but I'd rather have other cards that are going to help me win the game, not just win more. This is very much dependent on you having a creature out that's good enough that you want to tag this onto. And so early game, it's probably not going to be your best play. It's not going to be something you play in the first few turns of the game. So I think it's okay. Honestly, I would probably shy away from it, but that may be incorrect. And I do think that that's determined a lot by your own play style. So that's just my opinion. Touch of Vitae, I believe, is an instant for 2 and a green. Target creature may untap 1 additional time this turn. That creature may attack or use abilities that require tapping. As part of the activation cost this turn, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. This is a very weirdly worded card to basically say that you can use an ability twice on a card. I don't really think it's very good. In fact, I think it's quite bad. The best part of this is drawing a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. It's very possible with this wording that I am misunderstanding something here, but I feel like this is just not good. Being able to tap and use an ability twice is fine, but you still have to find a way to then untap it, or I don't know. It just seems kind of bad. So feel free, if you have played with this card or feel like I'm misassessing this, please tell me in the comment section, but this just seems very, very bad. Dreams of the Dead is an enchantment for 3 and a blue. You can pay 1 and a blue and take target white or black creature card from your graveyard, put it directly into play as though it were just summoned. That creature requires an additional cumulative upkeep of 2. If that creature leaves play, remove it from the game. So this is actually a really interesting card. I kind of like this. It's a bit slow. I will say that you have to pay 4 mana and then pay an additional 2, but it is a build around in that it has to be a white or black creature, but you can actually pull multiple creatures with this if you want, which is kind of interesting. That cumulative upkeep cost of 2 does double, or I shouldn't say double. It adds 2 every turn. So the first time, if you play this and you pull something out, the next upkeep you'll have to pay 2 of any color just to keep it on the field. The turn after that, it'll be 4, and then the turn after that, it'll be 6. So that does continue further and further. And eventually, obviously, it'll probably be to the point where you can't pay it anymore, or it's just not feasible to, and so then that creature is removed from the game. Though I like the fact that you can do this with multiple creatures. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's better than, in particular, the shield, but I'm going to keep them in the same pile for now, and we'll see what we feel later in the pack. Blinking Spirit is a 2/2 for 3 and a white. You can pay 0 and return it to its owner's hand. So, okay, this is kind of my kind of creature, to be honest. It's really weird that it doesn't have flying based on the image, but the idea here is that if it's targeted by any spell, you can just pay 0 and bounce it. And so any kind of removal spell, anything like that, it just bounces itself. And then in the case of like combat or something like that, if they use combat tricks, you can just bounce it. Like so many things, there are so many things in the game that this gets around, which I love. It does not get around counters. I should mention that. And it is still just a 2/2 for 4, which is very, very high costed. However, at this time in Magic, as a lot of us know if you've played during this time, the creatures were very much underpowered in comparison to a lot of the spells that were out. So it's not super surprising that it's that expensive. Still a little too expensive to make it good, but that blinking actually does help, in my opinion, quite a bit. So I'm going to actually keep this here for now. I do kind of like that card. Wild Growth, an enchant land for 1 green. Wild Growth adds 1 green to your mana pool whenever target land is tapped for mana. So essentially this adds an extra green to your mana pool every time you tap whatever land this is tied to. This is a perfectly serviceable card in a ramp deck. It's not something you're necessarily looking to pick up early. It's something that you want to be able to pick up if you're in that ramp deck. If you've got something that you really, really need to get a lot of mana for, definitely pick this up. It's going to be a great card for you. But definitely be in that archetype first. There's no reason to pick this up super early. Foxfire is an instant for 2 and a green. Untap target attacking creature. That creature neither receives nor deals in damage in combat this turn, and then draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. This is just a save yourself kind of card, or a fog effect as a lot of people call it. It does draw you a card, so it's actually a little bit better in my opinion than just a basic fog effect. But it still is just a fog effect, and unfortunately it doesn't really get you that much further into the game. It is a way to provide card draw in green, so in that instance, maybe late in the pack, I would see picking it up for that reason. But in general, not super exciting. Fog effects generally just stall the game and don't get you anywhere. Kjeldren Guard, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is a 1/1 for 1 and a white. You can tap it, and target creature gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. If that creature leaves play this turn, bury Kjeldren Guard. Use this ability only when attack or defense is announced, and only if the defending player controls no snow-covered lands. That is a lot of subtext to just say it gets +1/+1, and then if that creature leaves play this turn, this also dies. I don't really like this card. Obviously, it's really, really specific as to when you can use it during attack or defense only. You can't do this during, main phase or anything like that. Not that you would necessarily want to, but I don't really like this card. I feel like it's probably just a playable card, but it's not great. So not too much to say on that one. Snow Devil is an enchant creature for 1 and a blue. Target creature gains flying. As long as you control any snow-covered lands, that creature also gains first strike when blocking. Interesting card. I feel like it's definitely playable. It's not amazing in my opinion. Enchant creatures, you guys know my opinion on them. They're not the best just because they open yourself up for that 2-for-1 that I don't like. However, giving flying and then also potentially giving first strike for only 2 mana seems pretty good. It's going to give you an evasive threat that is also going to be really difficult to deal with just in combat. So I do like it for that reason. Probably not more than the Spirit, but it's still not a bad card. Oh, I love this. Mountain Goat. It's a 1/1 for 1 red, and it has Mountain Walk. So that just means if your opponent has a mountain, it cannot be blocked. Actually kind of a serviceable 1-drop at this time, at least. Excuse me. It's not amazing. Obviously, it is just a 1-drop, but technically it's a conditionally unblockable 1/1, which is kind of okay. Even if it's not unblockable, it is still a 1/1 for 1, so you're on par with a lot of the other 1-drop creatures, at least during this time. However, that Mountain Walk does kind of put it a little bit over the top against certain decks. Obviously, anything running red is going to be very well, or not well positioned, I should say, against a card like this. It is still a 1/1 for 1, so it's not that exciting, but I just love this card because it literally is just a Mountain Goat. It's hilarious. I actually gave one of these to a friend of mine who we used to jokingly call a Mountain Goat. Long story, but it was hilarious. Barbarian Guides is a 1/2 for 2 and a red. You can pay 2 and a red and tap it, and target creature you control gains a snow-covered landwalk ability of your choice until the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, return that creature to its owner's hand. What this means is you basically choose any of the basic snow lands, give that creature landwalk of that kind. So if it's a snow-covered island, you would give it snow-covered island walk. And then if your opponent controls a snow-covered island, that becomes unblockable until the end of the turn. So that's the idea. This then obviously returns that creature to your hand at the end of the turn, which you could arguably use to help you if you have enter the battlefield triggers or something like that, which there probably aren't too many of in this set. But if you could, that would be a great way to exploit that. I feel like in this time, this card is actually probably pretty good, only because snow-covered lands are such a big thing in this set. You're probably going to see them run in most decks, and so if you're able to do that, you can hopefully get some unblockable swings in with some bigger creatures. Enablers like this are always pretty good, especially in a red aggressive style deck, so I do like it for that reason. I think the Spirit is better just because it's on its own a better card, but this is definitely something that I would want in an aggressive red deck. Lava Burst is a sorcery for X and a red. Deals X damage to target creature or player. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to protect that creature. If you do target a creature, absolutely, this is definitely a better pick than anything we have so far. It's either a removal spell or a kill spell. You're able to just deal straight up damage to the opponent or take care of really any creature just because this scales so well with whatever land drop you're on. And so I really, really like this card. Definitely something I would want, just hands down a better card than anything we've seen. Gaze of Pain is a sorcery for 1 and a black for each creature you control that attacks and is not blocked. You may choose to have it deal no combat damage to the defending player this turn. If you do so, it instead deals damage equal to its power to any target creature. Very, very interesting card. I don't think that it's very good because it's not instant speed. Your opponent has the ability to then block depending on how they see fit, which can theoretically just negate this card altogether. So really unexciting in my mind. If it was instant speed, it would be a very different story, but unfortunately it's not. So not exciting there. Sealed Worm is a 7/6 vanilla creature for 7 and a green. Honestly, at this time in Magic's history, this is probably just a really good bomb. It doesn't do much. It is just a big swingy 7/6, but that's really what you need in a lot of, especially green decks. Be really, really good to follow this up with that like Wild Growth pickup or something along those lines, just so you can start ramping into this. Definitely a good card. I would prefer the Lava Burst, obviously, just because such a powerful removal spell or just a kill spell for the opponent. But this is definitely a good card, definitely one that I would pick up. Circle of Protection Green is 1 and a white for an enchantment. You can pay 1 and prevent all damage against you from 1 green source. If a source deals damage to you more than once each turn, you may pay 1 each time to prevent that damage. So these are actually really, really powerful. Any of these Circle of Protections are great against their specific colors. So if you're what that means is basically it's better as a sideboard card. It's not really great as a main deckable card because you don't know if you're going to be up against green or not. If you're not against green, this does absolutely nothing. So definitely dependent on the deck you're up against, but if you're in white and if you happen to pick one of these up, it just gives you such an edge against that specific deck. So I would definitely be able to pick these up later in the pack, or if I was already established in white, just as a sideboard option for another game. And then we have the exact same argument here. This is obviously Circle Protection Blue, so a little bit different, but it gives the exact same effect just for anything in blue. Definitely a good card to pick up, again, for that sideboard hate. Just if you find yourself against a blue deck, you'll want this for sure. Honestly, though, it's a pretty easy Lava Burst for me. Just a powerful removal spell, and something that can definitely deal some damage to the opponent. That's all you really want to do. So definitely an easy pick for me. I don't really think there's anything too close in the rest of the pack, but of course, if you disagree, please let me know in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like or a comment down below as well. And then as always, please make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our awesome content. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next Crack-A-Pack episode.